Good morning. Good morning to all the royals. Good morning to the kings and the queens of the land. Good morning to ladies and gentlemen who are joining us. Good morning to those who are in the body and those who are not in the body. As long as you are around, good morning to you. Good morning to all our great ancestors and their spirits. Good morning. My name is Mungonum Conte and this is the Royal Opinion. Thank you for joining. You can just click the like button and subscribe. We're talking about, we're giving an update basically about an incident that happened yesterday in Ka-nwamitwa, Limpopo, where the deputy president was addressing people that side. At an event, at a celebration of the Ka-nwamitwa Day, the Deputy President Paul Mashatile fell and collapsed in the stage. And it was reported yesterday. I came out uh, to talk about it. It was widely reported that it was because of the heat wave which was in Limpopo yesterday. I did not buy the story because I'm also in Limpopo as well. And even if I'm not there, I don't buy the story if he's not the only one who was affected by the heat wave. Paul Mashatile is not foreign to the land. Paul Mashatile is not foreign to Limpopo. That's where it comes from. So his body cannot suddenly become sensitive to weathers in Africa. He grew up here. So I did not buy the story. I came out and gave my opinion that I suspected that it was an assassination attempt. It was food poisoning. So there's an update that I actually received on my research about this issue this morning. Let me share the video and we will continue to talk about it.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Batibako Peli. Really rata le rona. Let me say that I would have liked to stay longer because this day was negotiated with Audrey when she called me and said, we want to do an inaugural annual lecture for Roni, and I want you to be the first to give the lecture. And I think Audrey initially wanted August or sometimes earlier, and I said, not available. We look at dates, and then finally we agreed on September. But something strange happened on Thursday when I was in Cape Town. We had a cabinet subcommittee on Wednesday, and when I got home on Thursday morning, I was sick. I felt like I had food poisoning or something. So my office was very worried because as I came back home, even in the plane, I didn't eat. So they were worried whether I would be able to come. So Mdu, knowing him, he was already setting up a virtual platform. So I called him this morning. Du, how are you? He said, I'm fine, Deputy President, and how are you? I said, no, I'm feeling much better. So I said, no, I was thinking of setting up a virtual platform. So I said, no, I will go. God is good. All the time. All the time. Yeah, I thought a virtual platform will not cut it for Ronnie's first inaugural lecture. So I thought, I'm sure I can survive for 2 hours to be with everybody.
What a humble guy. What a humble guy. In his own words, he says he attended a cabinet meeting. He attended a cabinet meeting on Wednesday. And then when he wakes up in the morning on Thursday, he was very sick. And he says himself that he suspected food poisoning. Suspected food poisoning. Some other people yesterday were actually attacking me when I was speculating that this could be an assassination attempt. But the deputy president himself says he suspects that it was food poisoning. He attended an interview with the SABC. And I want to share that interview and have a discussion about this issue. Click the like button and subscribe. My name is Mngoni Mkonto, Paul Mashatile, very humble man. Sick as he was, Paul Mashatile was invited to go and speak um, at the Tzaneen University of Technology. So when he was feeling the effect of the poison in his body, he suspected that he was not going to be able to make it to the event, but he insisted on going just to honor the people. He said in his own way, maybe I thought I could survive with everybody for 2 hours. Let me replay this so that we can understand exactly what.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Batibako Peli. Realerata Leron. Let me say that I would have liked to stay longer because this day was negotiated with Audrey when she called me and said, we want to do an inaugural annual lecture for Ronnie, and I want you to be the first to give the lecture. And I think Audrey initially wanted August or sometimes earlier, and I said, not available. We look at dates, and then finally we agreed on September. But something strange happened on Thursday when I was in Cape Town, where the cabinet subcommittee on Wednesday, and when I got home on Thursday morning, I was sick. I felt like I had food poisoning or something. So my office was very worried because as I came back home, even in the plane, I didn't eat. So they were worried whether I would be able to come. So Ndu, knowing him, he was already setting up a virtual platform. So I called him this morning. Ndu, how are you? He said, I'm fine, Deputy President, and how are you? I said, no, I'm feeling much better. So I said, no, I was thinking of setting up a virtual platform. So I said, no, I will go. God is good. All the time. Yeah, I thought a virtual platform will not cut it for Ronnie's first inaugural lecture. So I thought, I'm sure I can survive for 2 hours to be with everybody.
This is what Paul Mashatile said in an event before he attended the event in Ka-nwamitwa. This is what he said. He said on Wednesday, after attending the meeting, the cabinet meeting, when he came back, the next morning on Thursday, he fell sick and very sick, and he felt like it was food poisoning. This is what I said yesterday. Tell us what you think. Give us your opinion, comment. Give us your opinion about what you think about the cause. I want to give you the propaganda before we go on, and before we go on, I want to give you the propaganda so that you understand what's actually going on. I'll give you the propaganda that they report. It does not make sense. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to share this video. I want to share with you the propaganda.
That I have. Yes. The deputy president has been checked for any other, and there's no need for you and I to worry about. Me and you should just understand, as a result of the heat, the deputy president has gone has experienced dehydration. Hence, we keep on saying, let's drink lots and lots of water. Hence, we were telling even the people here, let them drink water. And we are also saying to anyone in this particular area, in this province, or in any parts of South Africa where we know the temperature is very high at this given time, let's continue to drink a lot of water.
This is the propaganda that they are pushing. They are saying Paul Mashatile fell in Limpopo because of the heat wave. I said yesterday when I was talking about the issue that I don't buy the story that Paul Mashatile fell because of the heat wave. Um, I suspected that it could have been poisoned. It could have been an assassination attempt. Uh, this morning I got more information when I was researching. I came across this Facebook post video where Paul Mashatile himself says he suspected that it was food poisoning that happened to him. Paul Mashatile says himself that it was food poisoning. But Premier of Limpopo there says it was a heat wave. If it's a heat wave, how many people were affected by this heat wave? Did this heat wave in Limpopo came to target the deputy president alone, the deputy president Paul Mashatile, or this heat wave was a problem for everybody? So it was never an issue about the heat wave. Uh, the deputy president was targeted. The deputy president, they want to eliminate him because they don't trust him. The GNU is planning for the future. The ANC will go to conference in 2027. Cyril Ramaphosa is not standing for re-election in that because he's already done his 2 terms in government. He will not be able to stand for re-election in that in the ANC upcoming conference. So because he's not going to be able to stand, Paul Mashatile is not trusted by the GNU. Helen Zille have stated clearly that they only want Cyril Ramaphosa's ANC on the GNU. And they have stated that they will not be able to work with Paul Mashatile. They have clearly stated that they will not be able to work with Paul Mashatile. Paul Mashatile was never handled by the Paul Mashatile was never handled by Helen Zille. Paul Mashatile was never an agent during the apartheid during the apartheid time. Paul Mashatile only joined in the party when the ANC took over and confused a lot of people. Paul Mashatile is actually very matured politician. So they don't trust Paul Mashatile because they suspect that is more aligned to the MK part. Mzwanele Mbeche had an interview with Paul Mashatile, the deputy president Paul Mashatile. And the reason for this interview was for him to dig for information for intelligence use. It was for Mzwanele to dig in these questions that Mzwanele was asking the deputy president are drafted by the intelligence. These questions are aim at understanding his thinking, checking whether this guy can be trusted or not. Let me share the video so that you can understand how these things, how the propaganda works, and how uh, all of this work. Let me.
To be delayed, and we thank the Deputy President for being patient, and he understood really that sometimes some of these things are beyond our own making. Deputy President, thank you very much. You've been seeing us trying to sort out a few things given the technical issues here, but thanks that you've been able to sit through this so we can be able to conduct this interview and talk to the nation about a wide range of issues.
Well, let me thank you, Bambeje, for having made this time for me to be able to share some thoughts with our people on the work we are doing as government. So I'm pleased to be here.
Well, we are not going to waste time, Deputy President, because we already have a lot to speak about, and then of course time is never enough. Maybe let me start off with you having assumed this position, I think on the 1st of February last year, taking over from former Deputy President David Mabuza.
Yes.
And there were some handover reports that had to be processed between the two of you. But I think one of the things that was quite interesting before you took over, he had somehow expressed a bit of interesting views about how you were waiting on the wings. So, so how is that relationship? How did everything happen?
No, well, firstly, let me say that former Deputy President Mabuza and myself are very good friends. So we talk about everything. So
Listen to how hostile is the interview starting. The interview is starting in a very hostile manner. Mzwanele Mbeche is asking Mashatile that the deputy president, the former deputy president Mabuza, said that Paul Mashatile was waiting on the wing. He was waiting to become the deputy president, like he couldn't wait. That's basically what it says. So he's starting this interview in a very hostile way. Why is he, ask yourself, why is he so hostile to the deputy president? Why is he starting on a very hostile manner?
it was
And listen to how Paul Mashatile intelligently maneuver around the question.
okay for him to think that maybe I was waiting on the wings. But the important thing is that as soon as I was appointed, I carried on a lot of work that was also delegated to him.
Yeah.
As you know, that the president delegate work, you know, to work with traditional leaders, to deal with issues of HIV and AIDS through SANAC, men business, and so on and so on. So a lot of the work that was delegated to him was also delegated to me.
So one of the responsibilities is that you are the leader of government business. Many people don't understand exactly what that is. So
Yes.
what in real terms does that mean, leader of government business?
The leader of government business means that you are responsible to ensure that the work of government as the executive gets carried through Parliament, because Parliament makes the laws, passes legislation. They can't do it if the executive does not bring the bills, the legislation So the person who must make sure that that happens is the leader of government business, who must then meet with presiding officers and say, these are the bills we want to bring. And also, if there are issues the presiding officers want, they talk to the leader of government business. And what the leader of government business does is to report every time cabinets meet. So every 2 weeks when cabinet meets, I report to my colleagues on parliamentary issues. Because remember, apart from the bills, members of parliament ask questions to ministers on their work or areas of work. They also have an opportunity to ask questions to the president and the deputy president. So for all that to go smoothly, the leader of government business manages that relationship.
One of the issues in the last parliament has been complaints that the ministers did not come as expected frequently enough. Do you have plans in place to try and remedy that situation?
Well, indeed, it was a big challenge. I had several meetings with presiding officers, the speaker, chairperson of the NCOP, and we looked at a mechanism on how to manage this. And it was not because of
This question they're asking him basically what they want to find out here. They want to find out what is he gonna do about the DA ministers who doesn't want to come and report to the presidency because they are implementing their own policy on their side. Because the DA runs a parallel government. They don't want to report to the ANC. They want to report to the DA. They want the ministers of DA to only report to the DA, not to the president, because this is a parallel uh, government which they are running. So this kind of question, they're asking him to find out what is he gonna do. What is he gonna do to the DA ministers? Let's go on.
disrespect to Parliament by members of the executive. What happened that the load of work and sometimes the clash of diaries. So I had to start managing that because Parliament or parliamentary committees will meet on a Wednesday and cabinet committees are meeting on the Wednesday and cabinet on the Wednesday. So you find clash. So we're trying to align. And then when it comes to questions as well, I created an opportunity where every cabinet meeting, I inform my colleagues about questions that are outstanding that they need to reply to. And I think we ended up, the previous administrations, the 6th administration, we ended up almost with all questions answered.
But I think is it last week or 2 weeks ago, we have City Minister of Higher Education couldn't fit.
Yes.
So is there anything that you have done to ensure that a situation like that never happens? Because when the committee, the way they were so frustrated, you could see, they thought we're back to what they were complaining about.
Yeah, in fact, they did contact me about the deputy minister not appearing. And I immediately attended to that matter to say to the deputy minister, we have to respect parliamentary processes. Deputy minister or minister will give you reasons why they were not able to go, but they now know that it's a priority to appear before committees of parliament, to answer questions. Where you can't, you need to give good explanation so that Parliament must not feel that they are disrespected by the executive. So the job of the leader of government business is to sort out those things, make sure that there's a good relationship between these two spheres and that we work smoothly to get work done so that government itself can work effectively.
Is there sanction if there's someone who simply refuses to abide by the directive, so to speak.
Well, the good thing so far is that everybody's complying.
But in the event someone does, do you have mechanisms in place to ensure that you deal with that situation?
This is the question that they wanted to reach to. They wanted to, the white intelligence wanted to understand what is his plan, what is he gonna do with the ministers, because he is insisting that they must come and report to him. What is he gonna do with the ministers if they don't go and report? So that is the question. That is where these people are directing the question to. They remember they don't trust him, so they want to dig information out of him. When they call him to an interview, it's not for him to inform South Africans, it's for him to expose himself to the intelligence or the CIA, so that they can go and sit down and analyze his speech.
Yeah, they know there will be consequences.
So what are those consequences?
We don't tell them. We just say,
But you can tell me, Deputy
yeah,
President.
we just say to ministers, there must be accountability. You need to do these things. If you don't, there will be consequences.
Rounding off on the issue of the executive, I think last Parliament, the executive, I think, was brought in a number of bills at the 11th hour,
Yeah.
so which couldn't be processed. Others ended up lapsing.
Yeah.
So would you ensure that it doesn't happen again? Because it does appear that if you do that so clearly, there is no proper
Yeah.
system to monitor how those things are done.
Well, the end of the sixth administration, the challenge is that we got into an election campaign.
Yeah.
So by the time we said we are closing, you know, a lot of colleagues still had bills they wanted to process, but we had to close so that, you know, parties can go to the election campaign. What I've done now was to remind them quickly to bring back all those pieces of legislations that have lapsed. We spoke with the Speaker. They are back on the table. Let's meet. I'll be able to say to them, if you have legislation, bring it now. Most of the ministers have done so.
Yep.
They have written to me, say, I have this piece of legislation. I see it's not on the roster. Can I put it through? I say, come now, because we don't want bills to come at the end of the term.
Well, I think we would continue with the
Yeah.
issue, some of the responsibilities,
Yeah.
and I think later on, let me just bring you now into the Government of National Unity, which you are part of in terms of leading as the Deputy President. How have you found leading the government with parties that are not necessarily your party?
Well, firstly, let me say that it is the president who's leading it.
Well, you are assisting him.
I'm assisting
The
him.
president leads.
Correct.
That's why you're deputizing him. So
Yeah. I'm
the two of you
assisting
are-
him.
uh,
So let's
understand.
get it right. So the president is leading
Yes.
the government of national unity. I'm assisting him.
Yes.
I think I must say, Mr. Mbeje, that GNU has done exceptionally well. And the reason is because right from the beginning,
In this one, they want to hear whether he is for the GNU or he's not for the GNU. Whether I think the GNU is working or not, the GNU is working. Because this is a person they suspect that is planted by President Zuma in the ANC in order to take over the ANC and bring it together with the MK party and take over the land in South Africa. So white people don't really trust him. They are asking these questions in order to dig information from him to hear what is he gonna say about these things, about what is his. But look, listen to him as he maneuver through the questions. intelligently. He's a very matured politician. He know exactly what the questions are meant to achieve.
The president said to all parties that agreed to work together, let's agree on principles. We came with a statement of intent and a minimum program, and said, if we look at all our manifestos, all of us are worried about the economy, we're worried about jobs, we're worried that there's rising food prices, people can't afford to buy food. We're worried about the capacity of the state. So let's sort out those things. And everybody agreed that what we need is in this country is inclusive growth. Inclusive growth, but the growth that creates jobs for people. We agreed.
Inclusive growth. Inclusive growth, when it talks about inclusive growth, it means uh, when government wants to implement government services into communities, the communities themselves must be able to benefit from the implementation of the projects, the implementation of the works. Inclusive growth means that the companies in rural areas, the companies in the township areas are considered when implementing services in their areas. It means when the government is increasing in its expenditure in infrastructure, even the people of South Africa are also benefiting, or the black people are also benefiting from the growth uh, of the economy. If the economy is growing, black people must not be the ones who are just watching and only consume the end product. Inclusive growth means being involved in the actual uh, construction or production of what you are going to consume at the end of the day. That is inclusive growth. Inclusive growth means uh, industrializing and selling shares to black people uh, in order to ensure that black people are freed from poverty, from abject poverty. That is inclusive growth. That is what he is talking about. When he talks about, these are very dangerous questions that they are asking him. They want to get an opinion. If he talks about inclusive growth, he's a very dangerous man for the system.
Cost of living. Let's address this problem to ensure that people can afford, so that there can be stability, proper social wage. But let's make the state to work. Let's professionalize the public service. Let's make sure that we have a government that is capable. So today, when you talk about the GNU, we call it a government at work. So that's the government we are leading with the president, as I said, is doing exceptionally well.
The GNU, obviously, it's somewhere it's being contested.
Yeah.
But was it the best option that perhaps you, as the governing, as the majority party in terms of the elections, was it the best option you could go for? Why didn't you perhaps choose the coalition, or perhaps working with the so-called leftist organizations?
This question, this is a very important question that they are asking him. They are asking him this question um, not because they want him to contribute, because already the GNU has been formed. They are asking him the question about the formation of the GNU, that what is his thinking Uh, does he think, is he gonna say the MK party and the EFF outside the GNU were the better choice, or he's gonna stick to the current organization? It's not even a fair question. It's not even a fair question, because what they are asking, it's already done. There's nothing he can actually do. If he becomes negative about it, then the GNU looks at him very in a very bad way. So he doesn't have a choice. He has to stand with the GNU in this question. Let's listen to him how he intelligently maneuver and answer this question. He knows, Paul Mashatile knows the politics. Paul Mashatile knows and understands this politics. He's very matured politician. Let's hear how he maneuver around the question whether it was a better choice to go for the DA. There's no reason they're asking him this question so that the intelligence can dig out the information if they have a reason to continue to trust him, or he should be eliminated. And I think this is where he was eliminated. This is the day where he was eliminated. He was poisoned on this after this meeting, because he went to this interview after the cabinet meeting. Listen to him.
We,
Given that,
we,
maybe before,
yes.
before you answer, Deputy President, given that the ANC has always fashioned itself as a disciplined force of the left.
We looked at a number of options and experiences of other countries. There is what is called Grand Coalition, where maybe two parties come together. There's also minority government, where, you know, a party with a bigger number work with a few others, and they can constitute government. Normally not very stable. And then we looked at the government of national unity. The advantage with that was that you could invite everybody. But what we did, if you look at the work that my party, the ANC, did, was to set up a negotiating team that met with everybody. I think at the time we concluded we had met 18 political parties, and 11 of them agreed to come to the party, to work together. There's one that later resigned. But those parties then were able to constitute a majority that could take the process forward. I think at the moment, if you look at the parties in the GNU, they constitute about 78%. So it's good enough. So we could have gone either of the options, but GNU gives us a much better stability.
Given your inclination towards the left, would it not have been better, perhaps, to work with a party like the EFF or even the MK?
Well,
They are saying, is making a follow-up question there, giving your inclination into the left. They call the MK party the left, giving his inclination into the left, meaning they are imposing uh, they want to understand if he's going to accept that he's inclined to the left. Uh, and what is the reason? Wouldn't it be better to go for which is a useless question, because the GNU has been formed and it's now month in government. This question, it's only for digging the information from Paul Mashatile, intelligence information, in order to eliminate him or to remove him as deputy president. They don't know how to remove him as deputy president because they have no reason to remove him. So that is why they went for food poisoning. That's why they went for food poisoning, because this guy, he cannot be trusted by the GNU. Helen Zille cannot work with him. The DA will not be able to work with him after Ramaphosa. So he's not going to be trusted by the GNU. So that is why they want to eliminate him. Let's continue with the interview, and I'll talk about whom they want to replace Paul Mashatile.
So-called left parties were given the first priority, in fact. Our negotiating team met with the EFF 4 times, with MK Party maybe 3 times. They chose not to come in. So it's not true that we ignored them or isolated them. In fact, they were our first priority. That's because, as you say, you know, they come from our ranks. So it was going to be easy, but we didn't agree on some of the conditions they were putting forward.
Are you confident that the GNU will last a full 5 years?
Most definitely. You know why? Based on sentiment. So it's not like what we like, it's based on principle. One of the principles was respect for the Constitution and the law, agree on a program that prioritizes serving the people. So whoever deviates from that, they will live alone. The GNU will remain because of that strong foundation that we laid from the beginning. People may come and go, but I think GNU will stay.
There is your partner, Helen Zille from the DA, is very direct that actually this is a coalition between the ANC and the DA.
Well, you know, what's in the name? My approach is we are working together because the voters in this country decided there's no ultimate winner. There's no one who got the majority. So, in a sense, we were forced to work together. The others may call it coalition, whatever. We say this is a government of national unity because unity is paramount in the way we've decided to move forward.
Other people are saying beyond the current president, as you've said, the president is leading the GNU. Without him, so they may not be able to be part of this GNU.
Exactly the question going to check, because the question that they are asking him is about Helen Zille saying clearly that they only want the ANC of Cyril Ramaphosa to work with. They will not be able to work with any other ANC except the ANC of Cyril Ramaphosa. If Paul Mashatile is part of the ANC, they will not be able to work with Paul Mashatile. So the question there, they are asking him about the future. They want to know how he wishes to contribute in the future, because as he knows that the DA does not want to work with him after Ramaphosa. What is he gonna do? Is he gonna open the way for them, or basically that is the question? That is what the question is about. The white people want to understand. They are digging for information from him.
I think the president is on record to say he is not contesting in 2027, so which is the ANC conference, which obviously we don't know what will happen. We've seen the president that has been started, that the presidents never finish their terms. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen. So if the president is not contesting 2027, so which means beginning of 2028, he's no longer the president of the ANC, someone else would have taken over.
Yeah.
And then some of the parties are not comfortable, and then they walk out. So have you factored in that aspect?
Well, I've sort of picked up that fear that there are some people who think this GNU is a Ramaphosa thing. If it's not there, it's going to collapse. It's not true. President is part of a collective that agreed on this approach. So we sort of institutionalized it as the African National Congress so that it will be continuity. We know that
Listen to how he's intelligently getting around the question, because they are asking him that is he going to continue and work with the DA after Cyril Ramaphosa? That is the direct way of asking the question. Is he going to be able to work with Helen Zille, while Helen Zille is not interested in working with him? What does he think? What is his opinion about him? But he's intelligently diking and diving around the question, because he knows exactly what answer is expected of him, and the information that they are digging. You can see and you can hear by the way he's answering the questions that this guy is well aware that and very careful. Um, um, his words are very measured. The information he's giving is very measured. He's well aware of who he's talking to. He's not talking to the public. He's talking to the intelligence organizations.
in the ANC we have conferences, one leader leads, another one comes, but if you have your fundamentals in place, proper principles, then continuity is not a problem. That's why I'm saying GNU will last.
But we've been here before. The GNU of 1995 didn't last.
No, but you know what the problem was with that? The GNU of 1994 was based on people invited by the African National Congress when in fact it didn't need to. Because remember the time the ANC enjoyed 65% of, but President Mandela felt, we come from this apartheid thing, let's go with everybody. They then felt that we are swallowing them. So they left. So I do hope there's nobody in this GNU who think they are being swallowed. Because if they think so, they will get scared and they may want to jump. But there are other people who are waiting at the door. So I'm saying to my partners in the GNU, stay. Because if you jump, you may disappear alone, because there are other people who are knocking.
He's warning them. He's just warning the DA. The other people who are waiting on the sideline is talking about the cooperation between the EFF and there's only two parties which are outside the GNU, EFF and the MK party. When he says the DA must stay, or else they will face the consequences because others are waiting. He's warning them that if they go out, he's going to go into coalition with the ANC, with the EFF and the MK party. That's basically what Paul Mashatile is saying here. There are other people who are knocking from outside. So he says to his partners, stay in the GNU. This is an intelligence digging information. Mzwanele Mbeche is a presidential reporter from years, I think from Thabo Mbeki. So he's a well-experienced propagandist journalist. Let's listen to how Paul Mashatile maturely get around his questions.
So basically, the GNU, as far as you're concerned, will last the full 5 years, whether in its current shape or even differently, but it will still last.
Definitely. Definitely. We may lose one or two partners who decide, this is not my home, but there may be one or two who come and say, guys, do you still have space?
Do you still have engagements with parties like MK and EFF now that everything is settled? around these issues?
Well, at the moment, we have not had the chance to meet because we're busy setting up government and so on, but the doors are open.
Yeah, this question, I don't think he answered it correctly. He was just supposed to say President Ramaphosa says the doors are still open. Okay, I'll continue to share this video. I'll continue to share this video. Let's listen to. I don't think this question he got it right correctly. I don't think he got it correctly. This question because they wanted to understand if he is going to go into coalition with the EFF, if he is open to the negotiation with the EFF and the MK party, because they are suspecting that Paul Mashatile is an MK party spy. He's not just sitting there, he's sitting there waiting for Ramaphosa to go out so that he can take the MK, the ANC back to Jacob Zuma, and become one organization and contest the election together next time. So they are asking him this question, and I thought maybe he did not answer it correctly when he exposed himself that he was considering. He was supposed to just say President Ramaphosa said.
Well, moving on to another topic, Deputy President. In recent weeks, we have seen the extortion, construction mafia,
Yeah.
basically the country being held at ransom. And people are looking out for leadership because you can't develop as a country when you have people who hold the country to ransom. What is the plan to deal with the construction mafia and extortionists?
Well, I'm currently the chairperson of the JCPS, there's Justice Crime Prevention cluster, and that cluster brings in the police, the defense force, and various other departments. We will be meeting later this week to receive a consolidated plan from the Minister of Police. You'll remember that last week, if I'm correct, the Minister of Police presented a statement in the National Assembly to say we are prioritizing dealing with these crimes. That's the construction mafia, extortion. But he then said, I'm going to present a plan to Cabinet. The Cabinet met, looked at it and agreed that the JCPS cluster should finalize it because we want to bring all elements. It must be the whole of government approach, which will then involve provinces and local government, including your metropolis, will be brought in, so that it's a very consolidated approach that leaves no other security force behind. We move all together.
Well, let me stop you there, Deputy President, to afford some commercial break. We'll continue our engagement as you deal with this important matter of construction mafia. So we'll be right back with the Deputy President.
This AI tool will take your idea and create a complete book, complete with design, images, layout, everything.
affects everyone, especially because the country wants to really develop, and it becomes very difficult, DP, when you then have projects, but the projects can't get on the ground.
In fact, that's that's one of the biggest problems with the construction mafia. It affects even government programs or projects, and they can't move because those who are appointed contractors, as they do work, people come and demand protection fees and 30%. I mean, this thing started at some point in KZN. You know, there was Amatela Ngokubona in, and then it spread, and it's spreading to other provinces. So we said to the Minister of Police, you can't work alone. Bring your plan. Let's bring others. In provinces, we have metro police in some of the metropolitan governments. Let's bring them on board as well to be able to be on the ground. In fact, as I speak to you, I got a report that almost, 700 people have been arrested. You've seen in KZN, there have been more arrests. And there have been a challenge because the criminals have become so brazen. And we have an unfortunate situation that they shoot at police without blinking. So we're saying to the police, we need to strengthen them so that they don't die in the line of fire when they have their own pistols. They must weigh the situation. If criminals are violent and take out guns against the police have right to defend themselves in that situation, defend the communities. And that's what's happening in some of the areas already, like KZN. We need to put criminals on the run, not the other way around.
Yep.
Communities must be safe, criminals must be on the run.
He answered exactly the way this question. He answered exactly the way the GNU wants him to answer the question. So he knows exactly who is he answering to, because when he talks about criminals running, he talks about black children running, because the criminals are only black people in South Africa. So when he talks about uh, uh, killing the criminals, he talks about killing black children. So they like such kind of tone about black people. If you can kill them, don't check what is the reason they do all of these things they are doing. Just ambush them after you find out that they are doing these things. So the construction mafia is a reality in South Africa, not only in the Eastern Cape, but all over South Africa, in villages. Now, even like the protests that you see, service delivery protests that you are seeing in townships and in villages, are not actually service delivery protest. Those are extortions protest. It's when some people whom there's so-called stand and cake money, where some mafias or local mafias will be paid for protection when you are implementing a particular project. Government knows about this. They call it extortion. It's a construction mafia. It's all over South Africa. They do it in all projects, big projects. They do these things. So this one, he answered it exactly the way the white people would like him to answer.
But why was this allowed to happen the way it has? I mean, you have just said it yourself, DP, that it started as something small, perhaps somewhere in KZN, and then now it's a phenomenon in the country, and it's very difficult to control.
Indeed, I think we may have been caught wanting a bit slow, but I think Cabinet is very determined now that now and no more. We need to move in there. Communities must be safe, and we must deal with this matter decisively. Even today, Parliament was debating this matter. As I was listening, everybody saying, government, please move now. Take off your gloves, deal with this problem.
I'm talking about government being slow. In fact, I'm just reminded of two occasions. The July riots, and I think government was accused of being slow. In fact, earlier last week, I had a discussion with the retired Chief Justice, and on many occasions, he says government and the executive is very slow. So, what is the problem?
Well, sometimes it's not just government; it's a whole criminal justice system. I mean, I have situations where police says, well, we arrested criminals, and then, before you think of it, they get bail, they are back in the street. So we need to overhaul the whole criminal justice system. That government that is responsible for policing and security broadly have to effect arrests, make sure that there's visible policing. But when people are arrested in the courts, it must not be easy for them to get bail and go out. They must be sent to prison.
Talking about the criminal justice system, and currently we have the Justice Minister who is facing allegations, and I know that the President has requested a report.
Yeah.
But given the challenges that the criminal justice system is going through right now, it does, I think, dent the confidence of the criminal justice system. Would you agree with me?
Well, what the minister has done, if you noticed, she subjected herself to due process. She came to Parliament to explain herself. Yesterday, the Secretary General indicated that she's also agreed to go before the Integrity Commission. She will also meet with the President. The President is back in the country. So my position is that let's allow that due process to take place so that the matter is dealt with properly. Because there were people who are saying, do I agree, she must step aside and so on. And my approach is always, let there be fairness, due process, because she also deserves justice.
So how would you have handled it if you were in a position perhaps of the President?
Well, at the moment, I don't know all the facts because the facts are going to the President. My approach would be, it's always important to be fair. Even when we deal with difficult matters, let's not rush. It's easy to prosecute someone publicly. The media is good at that. They find you guilty just now. Let's look at the facts. Let somebody present everything. The verdict will come.
The retired Chief Justice said, given what is happening currently and the lack of urgency in attending to the recommendations, is actually ripe for a recurrence of another state capture.
Well, as far as I know, once they
have the fear when they say the environment is conducive for a recurrence state capture. This is the fear that they have. When they say state capture, they mean black people can come back and lead and decide about what they want about this country. That is the meaning of state capture. When they fear of white people that the MK party may lead South Africa into freedom, calling it state capture there. They're asking him, they want to understand the intelligence organizations want to understand what is his thinking around it.
The commission was appointed, which many people call it the Zondo Commission. The reason why it was appointed was because we decided that we have to deal with state capture. So we need the commission to investigate, come back, and they did. They came with recommendation. Those recommendations, as we speak, are being implemented. It may be that the Chief Justice, former Chief Justice, thought we didn't move fast enough. But as we speak, a lot of structures have been set up, anti-corruption plans, the NPA is looking at cases, and so on. So the work is happening.
But there are still people implicated who are not only in Parliament, but also in Cabinet.
Well, implications will always be there. The authorities that have the responsibility to deal with the matters, they must deal with. I haven't had anybody, whether in Parliament or Cabinet, saying, I refuse to be processed.
Yeah, but does that Deputy President not then undermine the confidence of the people, particularly of someone who chaired that commission? He is very public about it, to say, I'm very disappointed by what I'm seeing. There are recommendations. The executive is very slow.
No, with the Zondo Commission, those things that have gone to other agencies like NPA or SIU, it's upon them to act. They don't have to wait for the executive. The responsibility is with them.
I think a few weeks ago, you said, I think at the NCOP, you said we need to have cleaner towns and cleaner cities, so that we are able to attract investments.
Yeah.
How do you think we'll be able to achieve that, and why now?
In fact, one of the responsibilities that the President gave me was to look at service delivery challenges. You've seen I've been going around the country. Just on Friday I was in Guyana and so on. So when I do that, I work with the ministers in those portfolios. I've already met with Minister Hlabisa, particularly because we are worried about local government. If we are to attract investments in this country, we need to fix local government. So Minister Hlabisa has already put a program in government. We're discussing it actually in the Cabinet Committee today. He has been moving around in those municipalities, particularly those are said to be dysfunctional, so that we can fix them.
I think, talking about Minister Hlabisa and Kokta, there have been so many plans, turnaround plans around local government. None of them seem to have worked. What is different about this one that Mr. Hlabisa is putting before Parliament? So, does this government have the capacity to deal with local government, given the challenges? I mean, Deputy President, I'm sure you agree with me.
Yeah.
We can't have endless plans.
Yeah.
The Auditor General, was scathing. At what point are we getting this right?
Well, I can't agree with you more. There have been a lot of plans. In fact, we were saying that ourselves, that we remember from Minister Shiteka's time, there was a turnaround strategy, Vusana Matolopa, a lot of different plans. So the President said, I need a turnaround with then how you put resources. Time frames are very important, targets, and monitoring and evaluation. One of the good things the President did was to appoint a minister for monitoring and evaluation in the presidency. Because the President said, guys, for us to succeed, the presidency must be the center of government. So there's no minister now running around doing as they wish. The presidency is like watching them with a hawk eye.
I think it started with former President Zuma, that monitoring, and that it's exactly those same words that were uttered, that everything will be now in the presidency, but things haven't improved.
They are improving now.
So should we hold you to that?
Yes, watch.
So will you be giving more interviews
space,
so we are able to answer these questions?
More interviews are good, yeah?
Okay.
Yeah, we need to always brief the nation, brief our people, where are we, So definitely.
The alliance partner, SACP, is very public. You are selling out on the GNU. Are you selling out?
No, we are not selling out. The good thing with us in the movement is that we are.
So we can't entrust old people with the future which they will not be there. They won't be there. I mean, when you look at how Paul Mashatile works,
This is Julius Malema talking about Paul Mashatile. Julius Malema giving hint what they are planning to do about Paul Mashatile, giving hint to the plans that were going to be implemented on Paul Mashatile. He says these people will not even be there to implement their plans. He gave an example about Paul Mashatile. It does not give example by President Ramaphosa. He gives an example specifically by Paul Mashatile and says you unomona gore motho wa lwala gore you can see gore this guy is very sick. It's old age. Um, so he was basically giving hint that the Paul Mashatile will be eliminated. Because if you don't listen or read between the lines when these politicians talk, you will not be able to hear anything. You will be left out. You will not be able to understand anything about what they are talking about. So Paul Mashatile, in short, is not trusted. Paul Mashatile is not trusted by the GNU.
Allow our members to express their views, and sometimes they use words that we don't like, but we're not going to crucify them for that because we are a democracy. Let's let people speak out. They are unhappy about something, but I can tell you that on this issue of the GNU, the alliance is at one.
But certainly not at one, Deputy President. Solima Paile, the General Secretary of the SACP, says, I can't sleep. Every time I think about the GNU, I can't sleep. Then that can't be one.
Well, there must be something troubling solely, but not the SACP.
But he is the General Secretary of the SACP.
Yeah, but he's not the SACP.
Have you engaged him?
The
ANC?
The SG is calling a meeting of what we call the Alliance Secretariat so that we can hear Comrade Soli out. He's unhappy about something. But the party has not come up to us and say, this is a sellout. There are ministers of the SACP in the cabinet. They would have walked away.
But are you concerned about these utterances from your key ally?
I think it's unfortunate. But as I said, sometimes people are troubled by something and then they speak out of turn. Let's not crucify them. We will hear Comrade Soli. The GNU is working, is not a sellout. And by the way, he was part of that process himself.
He said it's better to be irritated by the EFF than having the DA there.
Yeah, but he was part of this GNU from beginning to end.
So basically, are you saying...
He was irritated too late.
Oh, are you saying he is selling out himself from what he's been involved in, and then all of a sudden he's saying something else?
Well, I don't know how he characterizes it, but if you are part of something, it's not wise to then stand outside and say, look at what they are doing when you're actually there. There are mechanisms within the movement to come in and say, guys, let's not do it this way. Let's do it that way. We will talk to Comrade Soli. It's not all lost.
Is it not the reason why the ANC has lost so many votes that there are different voices, even those who are part of the ANC are so unhappy about certain things? I mean, you are sitting at 40% from way... From
57%.
57%. Yeah. So if you have people from your own speaking like this, so is it not perhaps an indictment on the ANC that something drastic must be done?
Well, if you notice this past few weeks, we've been going around in provinces. The NWC was in KZN, this weekend we're in Gauteng, and we said to the leadership, both in Gauteng and KZN, we don't just want to meet you, the top leaders. We want to meet the regions and the branches. And when we meet the branches, we want them to talk to us, to tell us where do they think we are going wrong, because that's going to help us to rebuild as we talk.
So here, Paul Mashatile is revealing something very, very dangerous. He's saying he's been going around the country revitalizing the ANC structures, rebuilding the ANC structures, where whoever rebuilds the structures gets the votes. Whoever rebuilds the ANC structures is the one who is going to be voted in, because he gets the opportunity to place the people, his own people, in the structures of the ANC. So Paul Mashatile has been going around the country uh, revitalizing the ANC structures, meaning talking to the branches of the ANC. He said he does not want to meet only the leaders of the ANC in provinces. He also wants to meet the structures of the ANC, meaning the branches of the ANC, and hearing directly from what they are saying. He's a very humble guy, the guy who is on the ground. So he's becoming too dangerous to the system because he's building the structures of the ANC. He's going to be voted in as the ANC president in the next ANC elections. The white people are terrified that in the next elections, Paul Mashatile may go back to alliance with President Zuma and hand over the ANC, deliver the ANC from evil, take it back to black people. So they don't trust him. They think he's a planted spy there.
Talk about renewing the...
Are you disbanding anyone, KZN, Gauteng?
No, we're not disbanding anyone. It's important that we get to the bottom of this problem, because if we go playing game, and I was making an example in Ekurhuleni this weekend. I said to the branches, if we come here and dissolve the PEC or the REC, or you, the branches, will say you want to dissolve us, where are we going to end? Let's sit together and rebuild together. So there's no rush to dissolve anybody at the moment. We are looking at the problem and rebuild from there. Many of the branches and the regions are going to go to conferences.
I mean, you are talking about, obviously, rebuilding of the ANC. Do you see yourself part of that team that rebuilds the ANC post 2027?
The question he's asking him if he's going to stand to be the president of the ANC. The direct question should be, are you a threat in the agenda of the white people, as we cannot trust you? Are you going to stand for to become president of the ANC in the next elections? That is the question that he's asking. So you know the propaganda, how the propaganda works, it works like that. It's indirect.
Do I see myself as
Do
being
you see
part of the
yourself
team?
being part of the team that continues to rebuild the ANC post 2027
Remember, 2027 we're going to
conference?
conference. So if I'm elected in that conference with the others, I will be part of that team.
So we know that President Ramaphosa has made it clear that he is not coming back because he's served his full term. So if the branches say, Deputy President, maybe it's time for you to lead, will you accept that?
I've always been ready to serve.
So meaning you'll be ready to lead the ANC should they say, come and lead?
Yes, definitely.
This is what put him in danger. He already declared that he is standing for elections after Ramaphosa. This is what is putting him in danger. This is what they wanted to find out. The most information that they wanted to find out about him is whether he's going to stand after Ramaphosa. And when he's standing after Ramaphosa and become president, because he's not going to be trusted, so he should be eliminated. With some other people hinting that Paul Mashatile will not be there. It was Julius Malema talking during was it an inauguration uh, uh, of the GNU, in the inauguration of the GNU, hinting that Paul Mashatile may be eliminated. Read between the lines. He said Paul Mashatile is too old. Is he the oldest person in the ANC? Is he older than Ramaphosa, Paul Mashatile? Is he older than Ramaphosa? He says the way he's walking, you can see he's dying. It's old age, but read between the lines. So, because he's going to stand and become president of the ANC, one, he's been building the ANC structures on the ground. Secondly, he declares himself as a candidate in 2027, as early as now, Paul Mashatile. So, uh, even if he's able to recover from the food poisoning that he has experienced, even if he's able to recover from that, he will be slowing down. He's probably going to slow down because he will realize that his life is actually in serious danger. Um, if you are in politics like this, you must close your mouth. Don't always eat everywhere. Don't even drink. Even in this interview, he's drinking water from an open glass. How can you drink water from an open glass if you are a leader like that? You don't do that, because they are always looking for you. So he was poisoned. Even if he survived this poisoning, what they wanted to achieve was to slow him down, to slow his body down. If you check it, people like Andile Mkitama, before he was poisoned and after he was poisoned, you can see he's a bit slower now. He's basically dragging his body. You can see he lives on the drugs. So they managed to slow him down. They managed to slow his body down. So that's what they will achieve as well with Paul Mashatile. they will slow him down, because these things that the poisoning, the type of poisoning that they give them, if they don't manage to kill you, it will certainly slow you down in your thinking and in your ability to follow logic. That's what they normally do.
So then there are issues also, Deputy President, which tend to surface around your family. And at some point, they were talking about the house here in Cape Town, about 37 million that was bought by a family.
So after he declares that he's standing for the re-election, not for re-election, after he declares that he's standing for ANC presidents, now they start the public lynching. Listen at what he says. Now he's talking about the corruption that his family has as Paul Mashatile. The journalist is now going to public lynching because Paul Mashatile has now declared that he's going to stand as ANC president. And then the mandate is to publicly lynch him. Publicly lynch him. So listen to the question.
As you see some of those reports, what do you think should happen to families of politicians like yourself doing business with government? So, what is your stance there? Are you comfortable seeing family, not necessarily your own family,
Yeah.
family of politicians doing business with the state?
Well, there are rules. One of the rules is that we should declare, right? One of the rules is that we as politicians don't do business with the state. But you know, we've got big families, particularly as African people. You know, you have a family somewhere in KZN, they may be doing business in the municipality. I think it's going to be very difficult to stretch this too far. It's okay to say, you know, Paul Mashatile can't do business with government, or him and his wife can't do business with government. But when you stretch it to relatives, to many people,
What about
well,
children?
currently the rules are saying children as well must not do business with government. We accept that. It's a rule, particularly where you are operating as a leader. We avoid it at all costs.
So, given that there have been those reports, so have you taken any measures to ensure that it doesn't happen?
Most definitely, because remember the reports were suggesting that my children
Yes.
are enjoying state tenders, and that's why they can buy all these houses. And currently, you know, my children are not there. At some point, one of my sons was involved in businesses in Gauteng, but long after my time. I was not even there. But he has since moved to mining and doing other things. My son-in-law, his biggest business is not in government at all. It's been in other businesses. So to suggest that my family benefits from government tenders is far from the truth. Completely far from the truth. So I'm happy that we must remain scrutinized.
Yeah.
But sometimes people don't wait for the facts.
This is what they do when the system does not want you to lead people. They lynch you publicly. They go on to lynch you publicly. This is public lynching by This SABC, after Paul Mashatile declares that he's going to stand for election in the ANC, they publicly lynch him. They say his family is corrupt. He's been involved in tenders. He's been involved. His family has been enjoying tenders tenders exceeding 37 million, and they're asking him this question. It's just to paint him in the eyes of the public as a very bad leader who wants to take over the ANC.
Well, so why would a government official, and I know it may have to do with a choice,
Yeah.
why would a government official not perhaps stay in a state-funded house,
Like me.
like yourself?
Well, it's my choice. You know, when I was a Premier of Gauteng, there was a state house in Bryanston, which was bought during the premiers before me.
Again, this question is a public lynching question. They want to display him as a wasteful individual, as somebody who does not. They want to display Paul Mashatile as somebody who is totally wasteful, who does not have the sense of understanding that public money should be used in a proper way, that it does not stay in the state institution. They just want to publicly lynch him as a bad person after I declared that he was going to stand for the ANC election in 2027. Let's go on to listen.
I never stayed there.
Don't you think that it's perhaps waste?
No, it's not waste. It was used for other things. In my house, even when I was MEC in Gauteng, there's no government that put a fence in my house, no guardhouse in my house. Even now, all my houses, there's no cent from government. They just bring their police. Everything is mine. And that's my attitude. I want nothing from government. Don't want their houses, their fences. I do my own things.
But those houses, Deputy President, I mean, the OR Tambo in Pretoria, those houses are still reserved for you, and they still get taken care of, and everything's done there, but without you staying there. Is it not, in inverted commas, wasteful expenditure?
I use them for meetings. I don't have to sleep there.
Okay, going towards closure, Deputy President, you've been involved in a number of initiatives, social initiatives, engaging churches.
Yeah.
How has that program been going?
Very well. My approach is outreach. And I said to my officials, let's not spend time in offices. Let's go out. We see we've been to Jakafontein, we've been to eThekwini. This Friday we're in Giyani, looking at the water challenges, how they are being fixed, giving people time frames to say, you can't take 2 years to get water to the people. Let's fix it now. On Sunday, we visited the Shembe, the Church of the Nazareth, because one of the things the president said I must do as part of social cohesion is to work with the churches. And when I go to the churches, not just to make a speech and so, I spend time with them. I listen to their sermons. I engage with them on practical things. And you find that you go to a church, they've got practical problems like communities have. Problem of
So Paul Mashatile has been mobilizing the ground. Paul Mashatile has been mobilizing the ground of the ANC. Paul Mashatile has become dangerous to the system. That's why they wanted to eliminate him. Paul Mashatile has become unstoppable in the ANC. The people whom the GNU wants to take over as deputy president of the ANC of the country, when they eliminate Paul Mashatile, Van Steenhuisen of the DA is waiting for the position. Uh, the DA wants Van Steenhuisen to take the position after Ramaphosa so that they can consolidate that position and become and bring back the apartheid laws as they are, implement apartheid laws as they wish to do. Uh, The EFF on the other side, Julius Malema is looking on that position of deputy president of the ANC and also deputy president of the country. He wants the position of deputy president of the country. When Ramaphosa can take him into the deputy president of the country, they will merge on behalf of the white people, the EFF of Julius Malema and the ANC of Ramaphosa will merge and go with the DA alliance in the future. They will go together with the DA alliance and give the EFF the position of the deputy president because they can trust Julius Malema. They know he's going to do a better job for white people. He's going to do a very good job for white people. So they trust him and is the one that they want him to take over the country. And also inside the ANC, they've got Fikile Mbalula. Fikile Mbalula is also waiting for the same position, the deputy president of the ANC and the deputy president of the country. So Paul Mashatile's position is contested even outside his organization by two other people outside his organization, Julius Malema and Van Steenhuisen of the Democratic Alliance. The EFF of Julius Malema, without Floyd Shivambu, can surprise people and go back to the negotiation of the GNU. Uh, Ramaphosa has hinted in one of his interviews where I heard him that is still open for organizations which are outside the GNU to come in. The only organization is open to or is waiting for is the EFF. They cannot allow the MK party to be part of the GNU. So he was hinting that the EFF or Julius Malema may at the end be incorporated into the GNU when they realize that his work outside the GNU cannot be uh, uh, cannot be equated to when he goes inside the GNU, because his work outside the GNU, it was to confuse black people that there is a different there is different alternatives that black people have to liberate themselves besides the MK party. There's the EFF. So when they become part of the GNU, that notion will be clear, and black people will be clear that they needed to vote for the MK party. So the EFF is outside the GNU in order to confuse black people that they do have an alternative outside the MK party. There is also the EFF, which is meant to liberate black people, while it is not true. Black people don't have a choice. It's only one choice, the MK party or nothing else. My name is Mngoni Mkonto. You are on the Royal Opinion. If what I have been speaking now makes sense for you, click the like button and subscribe so that next time when you are looking for me, it's easier for you to find me. Click the notification button so that when we go live, you will be notified uh, so that you don't miss our live sessions. You can also support the Royal Opinion by giving us super thanks or by joining the channel for a minimum of 39.99 and become a member of the Royal Opinion to support the Royal Opinion. We give better political analysis than the propagandist at the mainstream media on the SABC and also at the ENCA. We give better analysis of politics. We give the truth or the true side of the politics in our analysis. We don't go with the propaganda. So click the like button, subscribe, and support the Royal Opinion. Thank you for all those who have participated in the live stream. For those who have commented in the live stream, you can as well comment in the live stream. I want to thank everybody who joined and everybody who is subscribing. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We end the live stream now.